Where's Antea? What have you done with her?
Save her, my friends. And save yourselves.
I banish you! Life to the living, death to the dead.
This nightmare is too angry to be persuaded, and too powerful to be destroyed.
What did we do to deserve this?
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are talking about Banishers, Ghost of New Eden. But before we get into it, guys, I am Fossil21. I love playing games and I love making videos, so if you guys enjoy the content, be sure to drop us a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But before we get into it, guys, I just wanted to say that I apologize if I ramble a little bit here and there. I'm going into this pretty much unscripted. I did get the Platinum Trophy for this game. Long story short, I had a surgery, about a week ago, and I'm still recovering from that, so it kind of hurts to be up for long periods of time. So I feel good right now, so I'm just going to jump right into it instead of writing a script. So I apologize if I ramble a little bit. But anyways, Banishers has been out for a few months now, and I'm actually really surprised because I have heard like nothing on this game. I originally got it when it came out, and the trailers and everything looked really good, looked really compelling, like it was going to be a good story game. And it came out and I heard nothing about it, so I'm a little disappointed because this game is actually really good. Anyway, since this has been out for a little bit and I know that there's already a lot of reviews and stuff like that out there for this game, I just kind of wanted to give my opinion on some of the things that I really liked and some of the things that I didn't quite like. As I mentioned, I did end up getting the Platinum Trophy for this game. It actually wasn't too difficult. I got most of the trophies in my first playthrough. The only thing that I didn't get is that there's multiple endings, so there's two trophy endings, but there's like 4 or 5 different endings that you could get. So I did end up only getting the 2 endings, basically the good ending and the bad ending. Starting off with the story, you play as Red and Antea. They are Banishers, and what that is basically all these evil spirits or ghosts and whatnot. They either, if they're evil, they banish them to hell, presumably, and if they're good, they help them ascend to the next part of life, right? And Red and Antea are called to New Eden as there's multiple ghost haunting cases, and so they had a friend that had contacted them to come to New Eden, and when they get there, they find that New Eden is in shambles. There's this giant nightmare that's there, and she has cursed the entire land and surrounding areas, not even just New Eden itself, but a lot of the surrounding areas as well are all just infected with evil spirits and haunting cases that Red and Antea end up trying to solve. First off, I want to drop a spoiler warning here. I know the game has been out for a little bit, but I do want to talk about some of the spoilers. So if you guys haven't played the game yet, here's your spoiler warning, because we are definitely going to be talking about spoilers here. Alright, so Red and Antea, they go to the church to find this nightmare. More or less, the nightmare kills Antea and presumably kills Red. She picks him up and throws him out the window over this huge cliff. The church is built like right on the edge of a cliff. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. She throws him down to his death and he is saved by a witch. The thing with this game is that a lot of these ghosts in these haunting cases, the only reason that they stayed is that they have what's called a tie to the physical realm. And so in some of these cases it's like a pen or it's a bag or a bottle, and in this case when Antea dies, her tie is her body, right? And so for her to be able to ascend to go to the next part of life, the next stage, Red has to go recover her body, which is in New Eden, and he is nowhere close to New Eden because that is where the nightmare is, and he is not strong enough to take out the nightmare just yet. But that's basically the Kickstarter to the story, is Antea's death and Red trying to figure out what to do in her absence. She is still there in a ghost form, which does add some really cool gameplay mechanics that we'll get to in just a minute. But for the most part, it is Red trying to navigate through what has just happened. The love of his life has just been killed. Like I said, you're banishers. You banish ghosts or you help them ascend. And when Red and Antea talk, they're like, hey, well, we're Banishers, and you can decide whether you want to send Antea and help, put it to rest and accept the fact that she has died and help her move on, or you can resurrect Antea, which involves you basically stealing the spirits of pretty much everybody in New Eden. That is definitely the dark ending, the evil ending. And so every time you go to these new areas, there's multiple haunting cases, and at the end of each haunting case, you could decide whether you are going to either ascend or banish the ghost, or blame the person that is living, in which case you would steal their soul. So it is really cool, like little gameplay decisions. And because I've played got the platinum, I've noticed that like when I made certain decisions and I got to other areas, it would be like the stories would be kind of flipped, like where I stole someone's soul in this one area, but when I go to the next area, because I'm on my second playthrough, I noticed that the person that was dead is now alive, and kind of flipped around vice versa because of the decisions that I've made. So kind of cool. Nothing too crazy, but it is got a lot of like choice involved in what you want to do. The only thing with the resurrection ending is you basically have to banish literally everybody in New Eden. Or not banish, sorry, you have to steal their souls. I do like all of the voice acting. I think the voice acting for Red especially and Antea have been top notch. I really love the Scotsman. He sounds really cool. Voice acting's very great. Even the same with all of the other minor characters and side missions that you go through, the side haunting cases, because those are all optional. All the voice acting for them is all really well done as well. But as far as the story goes, like I won't go too much more into it than I already have. There's a lot more to the story that I'm leaving out. But the story here is really good. This is a single-player, narrative-focused game, and I think that is its strongest trait, is that the story is really good. I was really impressed with how well the story was written, and how well the characters were written, and so very well done. I thought the story was excellent. Moving on to the combat a little bit. Combat here, for the most part, is good. It kind of actually reminds me of like a Plague's Tale. If you guys have ever played a Plague's Tale and a Plague's Tale Requiem, is like the combat itself for the most part is very simple when it comes to Red. When you get to Antea, you get to a lot more abilities and whatnot. But as far as like the traversal and the hack and slash and like the way that you play the game feels very similar to how you would play God of War, except for it's much more on the scale of a Plague's Tale. But the combat for me, I thought was good. Like I said, Red basically just has his light and heavy attacks. He does get a rifle later on, but that's pretty much it. So if I do have one complaint, is that I wish that Red had just more different like abilities. I don't even want to say ability, like, because he's a banisher. So like once you have your banish gauge and you fill that up, like you can banish like enemies, which is arguably the coolest ability in the entire game, but it's just the only one. So I do wish that Red just had a tad bit more. Antea does have quite a bit, and they're all story related, so as you progress throughout the story, she unlocks more and more abilities, but that's because she is a ghost and has passed away, and so she gets to do things that are supernatural, webbing people up with spectral webs, or doing this leap thing where she can leap great distances in a blink of an eye. So she does like all these cool moves. They are cool. And there are cool moves to where, like, as you're doing your combo, and instead of hitting the last button to finish the combo, you hit the triangle, which is to switch to Antea. So if you do, like, light, switch to Antea, she'll do, like, a super move, and it's unblockable on your end. So even if the enemies are blocking it, you still hit them and they take damage. But I wish that there was moves to where, like, if you're playing as Antea and you switch to Red does some sort of cool move. Because I'm like, they're Banishers, like, he could have done something cool. Another thing along with the combat is that I wish that there was just a few more, like, weapons. They all are a little bit different, and they have a little bit different abilities, but they're all just a sword and a torch. And then you get different looking rifles. Even if they do the exact same thing, it would be cool to have like a battle axe or, a big sword or, stuff like that. So, but weapon variety is pretty much you just play with a sword and torch. So I was a little bit disappointed with that there. A little bit on the performance part of it. I thought the game ran great for the most part. There are some areas where the frame rates drop quite a bit, specifically in the more mountainous area. And that's just because it's constantly snowing, so I think there's just like a lot of like particle effects on the screen. So like there's this one area specifically in the mountain range where you go on like this really huge lift, and every time I run around that building, like I notice the frame drops like crash way down, like it's going like almost slideshow type stuff. But it only lasts for a few seconds, and then the game, you know, more or less fixes itself. But for the most part, the game ran smooth. I didn't have any game-breaking glitches or anything like that. Game ran perfect for the most part, other than, like I said, that mountainous area. Talking about the world, when I first played this game, I thought it was going to be open world, and it's not. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It actually reminds me a lot more of Jedi Survivor, where you go to the planet and you have this big open area, but a lot of it is locked off until you get certain abilities. So Ghost of New Eden is very much like that, where you have New Eden and its surrounding areas like the Hallows and the Dark Forest and the mountains, stuff like that. So all of those areas are there, but they're all locked off until you get certain abilities to get past them. Like there's certain like tree roots that you have to shoot all of the, you know, the spectral orbs off before the spectral roots can like dissolve. Or there'll be a bunch of these spectral webs, and you won't unlock that till closer to the end of the game, where you can cut them down. So it's very much, like I said, I think the best comparison from a recent game is Jedi Survivor, where it's like, it looks huge and it looks open world, but they only really give you very small sections at a time, which for me personally, I think is a little bit easier to digest. I'm very much where I get burnt out of open worlds really quick, when they just throw you in and they're like, go do whatever. And I'm like, I like a little bit more structure, so I do like it when they gave you like little bits at a time. Other than that, the open world looks really great. I really loved the scenery. I really loved all of the different areas. Even though they have a lot of similarities, they're different enough that it was refreshing every time we went to a new area. So as far as the world itself goes, I was really impressed. I thought it was really great. All right, moving into my final thoughts. Overall, I really enjoyed Banishers Ghost of New Eden. I am really surprised that this game came and went, and like nobody really talked about it. Like I saw a few people, you know, post videos about it, of a few YouTubers that I follow myself, and then I saw, you know, like IGN made a video, but other than that, like I just didn't see a whole lot of buzz around this game, which is really surprising, because this game is really good. I've never played any of, I believe the studio is Don't Nod. I've never played any of their games before. I've never heard of the studio before, and I'm just like really surprised, because this game is really good. It's like I said, a single player narrative focused game, and that is the thing that they excel at the most. The story here was excellent. I had a great time with it. I loved the characters. The voice acting was great. The music was great. And it's just a shame that I felt like not a whole lot of people talked about it. So kind of a hidden gem for me, and definitely one of the best games that I've played this year. Not the best game, but it's definitely in the top 5 thus far that I've played. It's very good. If you guys haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend it. But for these things, guys, that is why I'm going to give Banishers Ghost of New Eden an 8 out of 10. I had such a good time. Yeah, it had a few like little issues here where I do wish that Red had a little bit more combat abilities and stuff like that, but those things aside, the story was great. The world itself was great. I loved the premise of it. I loved the choices that you make and the multiple endings. Overall, had a great time. As I mentioned earlier, if you guys haven't played it yet, I highly recommend you go out and do so. This game was fantastic. You will not be disappointed. That said, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, show us some support and drop a like on the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, guys, I'll catch you on the next video.